before I forget, I just wanted to mention those of you who wish to do the assessment next time, as I said last week, you should know these nine points, this meditation. And there are slightly different versions of this meditation. In the film they mentioned a slightly different one. That's okay, but you should know them. That's one thing. The other thing you should know is the process of the visions which we meditated on earlier. What happens at the time of death, when the mind goes. Let me just remind you what happens. So first of all, the mind loses contact with the earth element. So the earth element is all the hard things in the body, like the bones, the skull, the nails, the teeth. At the moment, we have contact with that through our mind, through our energy. But that energy grows weak, and then our mind can no longer contact it. At that point, we lose the sight, and sometimes we feel heavier, and then we have an inner vision like a mirage. You know, in the summer when it's very hot, there's some shimmering on the road, like that. But it's internal, it's not external. Internal we have that vision. It's like the earth element dissolving. That's how it feels, like the hardness is dissolving. And the water element is becoming the more dominant. So the water element is the liquids in the body. And so the next step is when the mind loses contact with the earth, with the water element. Because the wind which connects the mind with the water element loses power. At that time, we can feel as if we're going very dry. It's like, although the liquid is still in the body, we can't feel it anymore. So it feels very dry. And also then we lose the power of hearing. And we lose the distinction between what is pleasant and unpleasant. We can't feel the difference. It just becomes sort of disappears. Yeah.
We lose power of hearing of all senses or all senses?
No, this one's hearing. At this stage it's hearing. The previous one is vision. This one is hearing. It's progressive. It's like the senses are closing down progressively. We're also withdrawing from the different elements, and also we speak about different kinds of mental capacity. These also beginning to withdraw. So death is really a process of withdrawing from all our connections in life, gradually withdrawing to the very essence, which is the clear light. Yeah, gradually it's withdrawing. So that's the second one. And at that point there's a vision, inner vision, which is like smoke. There's some discussion what kind of smoke it looks like. So it could be like, you know, lots of smoke like that, or it could just be little bits of smoke like that. So there's some, maybe different people have different experience, but it's an inner vision anyway, of like smoke. And now when the mind has lost contact with the water element, then the next one is it loses contact with the fire element. Now the fire element is the heat in the body. So there is still heat in the body. It hasn't gone completely cold, but we don't feel it anymore because the mind withdraws from contact with that. And then this also withdrawing from the smell. Can't smell anything. And at the moment we have a mental capacity called discrimination. It means we know one thing from another. We know this is a glass, and this is a watch, and this is the floor. But at this point, we lose touch with that, okay? So we don't know the difference between things anymore. The mind becomes more sort of not in touch with that. And there's an inner vision which is like sparks. Now sparks, it's compared, you know, when you have a fire at night, and above the fire in the darkness you see many sparks. So it's like that in your mind, but in your mind. Yeah, it's in your mind. It's not an external thing. So there's a vision like that inside. Okay? So after that, the mind withdraws from, we've withdrawn from the fire element. Now there's only one physical element left, which is the wind or the energy of movement. It's like the breath, the movement of the body, even the movement of the nervous system. Now, these things can still function. There might be still some movement in the body, like some liquids might be moving, but we don't feel them anymore. That's the point. The point is that the mind withdraws from any contact with that, because the energy that connects our mind with that breaks down. And this is also when the heart stops and the breath stops. So at that point, the Western doctors are going to say you are dead. The monitor in the hospital just goes a straight line at that point. But from the understanding of the Buddhist point of view, it's not the end, actually. There's still the process. The mind is still in the body and is still in the process of withdrawing. The withdrawal is not yet complete. So after the breath stops, the breath is connected to all the gross energies of the body, the gross wind energies. All that has now gone completely, it's kind of pacified. Now, if that happens in meditation, the meditation becomes very stable, actually. So there's a possibility now for, if you're actively meditating during your death process, there's a possibility for very stable mind. Yeah? And then at that point there's the loss of the taste sense. Actually, I think that all the senses of the body are lost at this point, the touch also. And there's an inner vision which is like the final light of the flame of the candle going out, just before it goes out. So it's just, I think they say it can be a little bit like blue color, but just the final time of the candle flame. And if there's no more contact with movement, it means there's an experience of stillness. It's an experience of stillness. And now we are only in the mind. We are no longer in contact with our body at all. That's why the doctors say we are dead, because for the doctors, the body is the only thing that matters. They're not really understanding the mind very much. Their main understanding is the body. So now the body is not functioning, so then they say you are dead. But if you've ever been with a person who died, at that point you can see there's still something there. There's still some light or vitality in the body. Yeah, it's a very interesting point. That's because the consciousness has not yet left. The consciousness is still there. But the consciousness is now becoming much more subtle. Because all these other functions of the mind, like knowing the names or knowing this from that, all these things, they've all stopped. So the consciousness now became very subtle, and now all the gross conceptions, they just subside. They just stop. They cease. They dissolve, and then all that appears is subtle conceptions. Subtle conceptions. And the first of these is called white appearance. So this white appearance, it might be like the out-of-body experience that you described. This white appearance is like a radiant whiteness in all directions. And what they compare it to is when the full moon is in the sky, in a clear sky, then white light is spreading everywhere. They say it's a little bit like that. And that's all that appears, is whiteness, but very brilliant, very, very clear white light. This is a subtle concept, subtle concept. And then the mind becomes even more subtle. The mind withdraws from that one, and then there's the beginning of what is called the red increase. And when Shan was leading earlier, she said it's like the sunlight in the sky, but it's special sunlight. It's sunset. It's when the sun is red. Like sometimes we see on the horizon at sunset, there's a very red sun. It's that kind of light. It's a red light that is kind of filling like a clear sky with redness. And then after the red increase, then the next one is called the black near attainment. It's called near attainment because it's almost clear light. But this blackness is like the last hour of the night when there's no clouds, no moon, no stars, complete darkness. Total black, total darkness. And as mentioned in the meditation, at first we are aware of that, and then we just go out of consciousness. Our mind just disappears into darkness. So that is like a complete forgetting of everything. That is why we don't remember previous lives, because we went through this complete darkness. But it didn't mean the mind's totally stopped. There is still mind, but at this point it's unconscious. That means it doesn't know anything, but it's still there. It still continues. And then from within that darkness, the clear light is described, it's like the very first light of the dawn. The very first light. So it's very subtle light. Now that experience, there's no concept at all, not even subtle concepts. What does that mean? It means a complete experience of non-duality. There's just It's called empty. It's not exactly the same as the emptiness we discuss when we're talking about no self, but nevertheless, it is very close to it, and it's no concept. There's no feeling of a separation between the mind and the experience. It's just clear light, just that. Very, very, and it's also said to be blissful. What does it mean, blissful here? It doesn't mean some exciting blissful feeling. It's something very soft, very peaceful, very pure. This is something, if you're with somebody when they die and they go into that, you can feel incredible, peaceful feeling in the room. It's like their mind filling the room. It's wonderful. So. Yeah, no. Yes, still in the body. Still in the body. Remember in the meditation, I should have explained this too. The winds come up, and when it comes here, the white comes down, and when the white reaches just above the heart center, this is the white appearance. Then the winds come up from below, and when the winds reach just below the heart center, there's red increase. There's a drop actually, a white drop and a red drop. Then these two come into the heart center. In the heart center, there is a drop of white and red joined. And when the white and red go in there, then we go into the black near attainment. it's said that this is inside some kind of, like inside a little box, and when this opens, that's the clear light, but the mind is still there. It's like the heart center is completely open, and it's the very subtlest level of our mind. That level of our mind is there now, but we don't feel it. We're not aware of it, but it is there now. But at that time, it manifests, we say. The other mind is completely gone. That is all that remains. So that is what we experience. And depending on the person, you can stay in that clear light for a long time. Usually they say it's the great meditators who stay in that state for days or even weeks. Tukdam it's called in Tibetan, yes. Tukdam. But a friend of ours in California, her mother was not a meditator, but she stayed in that for 30 hours. 30 hours. So it's possible. It's possible.
How do you know?
She was there with her mother, and she knew that the mind was in the body. Like I just said, you can experience that.
The body is still hot?
No, it's nothing like that. There's just like a radiance. There is a light, and then you can also feel when it leaves. I mean, I had some small experience of that with my mother. That for half an hour, definitely she was still there. And then the hospital told me I have to go downstairs. When I came back, it's just a dead body. She's gone. You can see.
Yes.
It's clear. But before, it was so peaceful. It was present, definitely peaceful. That's my small experience. But probably some of you also seen this kind of thing.
Yes.
You've seen.
With my
There are
father.
many accounts like this.
Yeah?
I mean, there are many accounts of...
Okay, let's hear about your father.
I think I've spoken about it. It was very strong, but it was still, for my experience, he was vivid, he was alive. No? So he was peaceful. Usually he was very nervous. He wasn't meditator at all. But it took hours, so I stayed with him meditating. My mother and friend of ours and my brother and sister, they went, but I wanted to stay more. I think 3.5 hours. I wanted to stay more, but then it was very powerful, but the energy was very, it wasn't subtle, it was very powerful. So someone, a friend of mine, spiritual in another path, he told me that because my father didn't want to leave his body.
Well, no, I don't know. No, I think at that point, yeah, maybe, I don't know, actually, I don't know.
But he was very peaceful, his face was very fit, and there was very strong energy in the room, so I phoned Tate, she's more experienced, and asked her what to do, and I just meditated.
Yeah.
And it was very good. In fact, it was the best experience I've had with my father.
Yeah.
But I think it's the most important one, and lately I've spoken with my mother because my father, he wanted to die in a hospital, and he told my brother, so I a little bit asked my mother if had he spoken about that. She said, no, definitely not, we were not thinking about it. But I think he was spiritual in a way that he decided to leave his body, and in hospital when my mind couldn't handle it because he told my brother he fell down and he was a strong person, so he told my brother, you can call the priest. It means that. But and then I went to him, he was struggling, he was given drugs, I think, and the other night I think he decided he goes away, and really it was an amazing experience.
Did anybody else have a similar experience with somebody who died? That they stayed, yeah?
When my mother didn't want to live anymore because she was very sick. and she, unfortunately, she died in the hospital. Promised her not to die. But she was so peaceful, and I saw as if she had a smile. She actually had a smile. And I could feel the energy.
Yeah.
I don't know where it went because after I asked from the hospital, it was already in a room that was Shantideva. Was already, she died and so after
resuscitation.
she was in a room that, and I think I was with her like 3.5 hours. I could feel the energy.
Right.
And
Okay.
I spoke with her.
Yeah.
She,
Okay.
and then they came and closed her, took her. I
Yeah.
don't know when it stopped.
No.
So it was the most peaceful
Yeah.
feeling that I felt from her long time.
Yeah.
And also my son stood near her bed and sang Indian song. And she was very musician, and she had a good ear, and I could feel she enjoyed it.
That's nice. One thing you might be to mention, Andy, as well, that sometimes there's an outer sign when the consciousness leaves the body.
Yeah, I don't know if it's immediately. There are two signs. One is that a drop of blood can come at the nose.
This I saw once.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
One of my brother-in-law, when he died, me and Louis were there, and then I went to see, and I saw the drop, and I said, the Dharma is right. That's what they say in the Dharma, that you have a red drop in the nose.
So this is when the mind leaves.
Actually, it's shortly after. I think basically the drops. What happens is there's a red drop from below that comes up to here, and then after the mind leaves, it continues, and it comes out the nostril because it is coming up the central channel. The central channel actually finishes here, but the drop comes and out through the nostril. And also there's a white drop that comes from the top and it goes down, and after the mind leaves it continues down and it emerges from the sex organ. A small white drop. So this red drop, you've seen it, and Shuki, you saw it?
Well, I saw this, and I know I haven't seen it, but I was in Meklot Ganj, and I can't remember the name of the Lama passed away, and I was, having coffee with the Geshe Punzo, another disciple of Genson and Rinchen, and all of a sudden he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have to leave because this Lama is in Tukdam." So he left and came back, and I asked him, "What is this?" So he said, "This Lama is in this meditation, and he's there for 4 days." I asked, "What do you mean he's there for 4 days? I mean, the body after 4 days
decomposes.
Normally, he said, no, he's in meditation. The body is cold, but still not
Stiff.
Not stiff, but he's not breathing, nothing." Then I heard His Holiness at one point allowed doctors to come in a situation like this after 7 days or something like this.
That's right,
And they checked,
Heart. They checked the heart.
everything was
energy.
dead, but the body was okay.
Yeah, fresh.
You can even see Dr. Rinpoche from Dunedin in New Zealand. So when he passed away, he was in pregnancy 21 days, and there was a TV in the 18 days, so maybe in YouTube you can find it, like Channel 10 in New Zealand. And they just went and, got the doctor over there, and they see, and he was like...
They say that when the mind is left, when you pinch the skin like that, it stays. But when the mind is still there, it goes back. There's a sign that there's some very subtle energy.
I saw one film that Shaman was sitting in meditation after death. But sitting like you were sitting.
Yeah.
So there's something.
Right, okay. It may be this film that Hagar
it was live.
Oh, you're lying down. Okay, it's not the same.
It was how
Yeah.
the body can.
No, this is exactly, they're sitting in meditation.
Well,
Even though the
Some are,
breath
yes.
is-
Some are lying down, but yeah. Okay, so this is all. When you've seen this, then you know. We've had several people here who've seen that, and also my grandmother had this little red drop here. So I saw that, and I thought, oh yeah, that's what they teach. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's easy.
Right.
See it.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the function of the karma in that point?
Right. Okay. So this is a very important issue.
What is the question?
The relationship of karma. The question is, what is the function of karma at this point? So karma is potential. That's the important thing. You see, the meaning of karma is action. So when we do action, after the action finishes, it leaves a potential. Sometimes we call it an imprint, or seed or something, but it's a potential. It's a potential for a result to come later. Okay, so what is the nature of this potential? It doesn't have any substance. It's not physical. That's one thing. The potential is not physical. But also it's not exactly mind. It's something else. And it's like the potential exists until it meets the ripening causes. Okay. So at the time, and the potential goes with the very subtle consciousness. With the subtle mental consciousness, all the potentials are along with that. And there are countless potentials, not just from this life, from all our previous lives, the ones that still didn't ripen yet, didn't meet their fruition, we contain them. So right now we have potentials for all kinds of different lives, all kinds of different experiences. We have those potentials now. And so this is why at the time of death, to have the good mind will ripen the good potentials for the next life. So at this time of clear light, these potentials are just, they're potential. They're not actually, nothing's happening, but they are potential, and the one that is going to come to throw us into the intermediate state, which we call in Tibetan Bardo, that one is waiting until the clear light finishes, and then it will bring a certain kind of result, which is a certain kind of body. Even in the intermediate state body, it's already maybe looking like what the next rebirth will be, something like that.
So why, I mean, I don't understand, because you are saying that it's very important to die with a peaceful mind and compassion.
Positive mind. Yeah.
Positive mind, but as I can't see how it is during the dying with the white light, this stage, I can't see the connection between the situation before the death and the process when it goes to this white light.
I understand the question, and I'd be honest, I can't explain exactly. It's just the teaching that I know is that while the mind is still conscious and able to make a positive intention like compassion, that is going to bring what's called the throwing karma.
It's like condition?
It's like a condition, and it will throw it even through the white appearance, the red increase, the black near attainment, the clear light, towards one rebirth or another. For example, if we die with a mind of anger, that will bring a negative future. So this is something to consider. Because, for instance, if you die like in war, you know, many of the people who die violently, they die with a mind of anger, unfortunately. So, or if you die from violence, like you mentioned George Harrison, yeah. You know, he didn't want to die with a mind of anger.
Yes.
He knew that's not a good way to die. So when he did die, he died with a positive, peaceful mind, yeah.
He once said something funny. He said, I was a commoner in my previous life, which is fine, but what would I say in my next life? That I was George Harrison. About that. I heard it a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah.
One of them, you say, in this stage also, according to Jewish tradition,
Mm-hmm.
you forget everything about a previous life.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens, according to the Buddhist teaching, when you remember some of your previous life? I mean,
Okay, so this is some imprints or potentials. When they meet certain circumstances in the new life, then something can come. For example, sometimes you meet somebody and you feel certain, I knew this person before. You just feel that. You can't explain it, and you don't know what they looked like before, or you know, but still you feel this, what we call karmic connection. So it just means that it's like some deep memory. Yeah.
this is one question. The other question is about abortion.
Yeah.
What, because it was once now in the election in the United States, I mean, because they are very conservative and they think that, for instance, if a woman was raped, so the minute of the sperm of the egg was in violence, yes? Conception, sorry. So, the conception was was made by violence. According to the conservative in the United States, the woman is not allowed to have abortion. And to my opinion, a feminist view, I mean, a woman is
It's up
in
to her.
charge of her body. So what do the Buddhist teaching say about this, about abortions or abortions of rapes, but as a consequence of rape or just abortion?
So it's not like they say it's nothing. There's still a responsibility of taking a life.
Yes.
But the Dalai Lama has been asked this question, and he has said it depends on the individual case. And he says this about a number of questions, like euthanasia, and there's a number of issues which are difficult to say what is the correct ethics of this. So he is not going to say one sort of definite answer for every situation. He's generally saying it depends on the situation. And for example, in the case of abortion, I think he's saying, look, he certainly agrees it's the choice of the mother, what she does, and she needs to take a responsible decision, you know, understanding it, all the implications. And yeah, he has said, you know, sometimes the life of the child would not be so positive, you know, so termination is better. But I mean, he's not going to say, yes, you should take the life, in general. He's not going to say that. But he does not say abortion is always wrong. He's also saying that. So I think Buddhist position is...
Flexible?
I think we have to say that, yes. I think you have to decide. It's like, there are some situations where you have to decide to kill. What if your child has a worm inside? You know, a worm, it's a bit inside. Maybe you have to kill the worm, you know. So you take responsibility because of your child's life, or their good health. But still, it's killing, and there is a karmic result from killing. But you decide, yes, I'm going to do that, And I'm going to take the karma, and I will do some purification, I will try to, with a good motivation, I will wish for good rebirth for that worm, all these kind of things. So it's like that. You need to take responsibility for your actions. And it would apply also with abortion, actually.
And do Buddhist teaching, do they refer to the moment of conception? Because according to other traditions, the energy at that time is very important for the karma of...
The moment of conception is absolutely essential moment, yeah. That is when the consciousness enters.
Yes.
That is exactly when the mind from the previous life and the physical cells from the mother and father all meet. And that's the beginning of a new life. So this is also a very important moment. Okay, so I wanted to just talk a little bit. I mentioned all this death process for those who want assessment, because you need to learn that, okay? You might be asked to talk about that. And next time, which is in 2 weeks, I need you to actually know what you're talking about. Not just, the big feeling, You actually have to know. Yes, exactly. Whatever the question, okay. But now I just want to say some general things about the implications of these teachings for our life. We're talking about death and rebirth, and in a way these things are in the future. We're not dying now, exactly, and
hopefully,
and rebirth will come after that. So what about now, our life until we die? What is the implication of this? So the first thing is to do with attachment. Attachment. Now, what is attachment? We have to be quite clear. Normally in Buddhism we say attachment is something negative. But actually, I think that's a mistake. Attachment is something between the parent and the child, for instance, which is positive. It's healthy, it's necessary. And in general we're attached to those that we love. Okay? So it's not wrong to love and feel close. That's not wrong. So, but the fact that we have to die means we have to know that we will have to let go. So it means not to cling. In English the word cling means to try to hold too tight. We have to let go. And if you think about it, the best love is the love which gives space for the partner or the child. If you're a parent, of course, at the beginning you hold very close, but slowly, you give freedom. The child has to stand by herself or himself. So the lesson for life about death is let go of attachment. Attachment for the possessions, attachment for the friends and family, and attachment to the body. These are the three things in the nine round. These are the three that we have to let go. And if you look at your, as she said in the video, if you look at your mind now, you will see what your future life will be. So where is your attachment now? What are you clinging to now? Is it your home? Is it the food? Is it your loved ones? What is it? Is it your body? So all these, whatever it is, of course you need to take care of these things. You need to love your loved ones. You need to take care of your body. You need some money in the bank. Of course, we need those things. But why? That's not our lasting happiness. It's not the solution for everything. It's something temporary, it's something useful, it's something like healthy body. The food is to keep the body healthy, to look after ourselves. But the main point is at the time of death, it is Dharma that will help. So what does that mean? That's also important. Dharma is, if it's just a word for us, then it's no good. We have to understand what Dharma means. It means the work that we did on our mind to create a positive mind, constructive emotions, love, compassion, generosity, wisdom, understanding reality, concentration, ethics. These are constructive mind. This is Dharma. If our mind becomes familiar with those things, it becomes naturally positive, clear, unafraid, calm. But if our mind is full of attachment, anger, jealousy, pride, all these things, the mind is disturbed. It's never satisfied. It's always worrying. Oh, maybe I lose it. Maybe I need something more. That kind of mind is something to try to let go, to leave it. That one will only disturb us when we come to death. That is not Dharma. That is what we call a worldly mind. If you go and look in the streets, you look at the people in the shops, that's the mind of the world. Everybody. Everywhere they're going, it's insecure. It's not Dharma because it's not based on reality. It's based on thinking happiness is somewhere. Where is it? Where? It's outside. Oh, I must go to a movie. Oh, I must have this. I must buy that. Oh, if I get that, I'll be happy. The Dharma mind which will help us at death is not that one. That one is actually just trouble. It's just disturbance. So check, do I have that kind of mind? Even sometimes. Sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit depressed, do I think, oh, if I go out and buy something, then I'll be happy. I mean, this is very normal in our society. It's called retail therapy. Have you heard? Do you have any expression like that in Hebrew?
No, not yet.
Good. You don't need that idea, but it's very common.
No, it's common. But there is not a expression.
Okay.
The expression is
It just happens, everyday life.
Therapist or Chanuk.
Yeah, same. Okay. So it doesn't solve anything, actually. It just means that your house is more full of things, which you don't need, usually. I mean, it just accumulates, and what can you do with it? It doesn't bring you happiness. But it's not just things. People are accumulating other things. Some people are accumulating qualifications, or books, or the knowledge about this. Some people think, if I know everything, then I'm safe.
I have to have all the Dharma books.
You won't take them with you, though?
No, I take them here.
Okay. Yeah, if you read them and study them, of course it's great, of course. But, if we're just accumulating, collecting, it's a very common problem, isn't it? And it's to do with a feeling that it's actually an awareness of no self, but feeling I must make a self which has these things in order to be somebody, in order to be content, in order to be happy. Then I need also friends, even. Some people are addicted to being liked. Yes. Oh, everybody must like me, so I'm going to do this to myself. Yeah. Like me, like me, like me. It's neurotic, isn't it? Just be yourself. But it's a kind of crazy feeling which is very much in the world. And if you watch a lot of TV, you'll see that all the time. And also the advertising is encouraging you to be like that, isn't it? All the images in the advertising are saying to you, if you be like this, if you have this, if you look this way, then you'll be a happy person. But of course we know that's not true. So the Dharma that will help you at the time of death is free from all that. So we can train ourselves in life to pull back from that. Now some people think, oh, you mean I can't enjoy myself? No, it's not that. Of course you can enjoy yourself. You can enjoy, but not with that crazy, grasping mind. That's the problem. Enjoy, let go. Enjoy, let go. That's fine. It's just temporary. It's temporary. Of course, life should be positive. It should be happy. But not to grasp and, maybe I lose my money. You know, this is not good.
What about people? What about grasping people?
Lasting people.
Grasping people.
Grasping people, yeah. Same.
Into people.
Into people, yeah. Thank
Into people?
you.
Grasping into people. To grasp people that you love.
Yeah.
That you love.
People that you love. I know. It's
Family, children,
yeah. It's a complicated issue.
friends.
And the trick is to know what is love, and then when we use the word attachment in Buddhism, there's two different things. So love is wanting the other person to be happy. Attachment is wanting me to be happy. You make me happy. That one is not so good. I want to help you be happy. That's a kind of positive love. Sometimes I'm going to help you be happy by letting you do your own thing. Grasping is not like that. It's you stay with me so that you make me happy. So this could help. Buddhism is not against positive emotion. Positive emotion of love can be a wonderful thing, of course. Can it become unhealthy when it's too much clinging? Yeah. And this is very common, of course, in families, also when we first meet a new lover, all these different situations, yeah. It can be a very crazy mind. And it can cause a lot of trouble in a family when the person can't let go.
The difference. Love is what you want the other one to be happy. And this means also to let him go do his own things. And
Also, but not only to let him go. I mean, it can also mean to be giving whatever's needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how did you define attachment?
Attachment is wanting me to be happy.
You make me happy.
I love you because you make me feel great.
If you're not making me happy.
we're going down to motivation, basically, right?
In a way, yes. Is it selfish? Is it self-cherishing? Or is it other-cherishing? This is one way to express it.
If you don't make me happy, I get nervous, so I don't like you very much.
Yeah.
This is more attachment.
I mean, it's nice when somebody makes you happy, of course.
Yeah.
But again, don't depend on it. Because half an hour later, they might be involved in something else. And they're not going to give you their attention because they're busy. Yeah, that's okay. It has to be okay. I'm telling because I find it difficult. I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. But this is the challenge of relationship. And we can learn to practice Dharma in relationships. Yeah.
I mean, if I say, you make me happy, this to me sounds like not Dharma.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, it sounds like I have the karma to feel like that right now from the causes and conditions that are present.
Okay.
I mean, my happiness does not depend on you.
No. I think saying you make me happy is okay, but it's just don't depend on it. Don't live for that. Realize that person is going to go around the corner soon. And then they will come back, maybe, or maybe not. But, there's a certain amount of living with impermanence here. And death is a great teacher.
Yes.
That's what I'm really talking about, is that when you think about death, when you meditate on death, there's a certain amount of realization, this is not forever. All the love songs, they say, I love you forever.
Yeah.
You're there forever. Well, it's a little bit rover romantic, isn't it?
However, mine
Proportions.
is.
And scary.
scary.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to be loved forever. Yeah, too much.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Why? I like this responsibility as a Bodhisattva. Well, I think it's beautiful, but it depends. Yeah.
Sometimes they say, be attached to all sentient beings.
Wow,
The Bodhisattva is attached to all sentient beings. So that's quite good. That's quite good. And of course, I mean, we have to be also very careful. We're not trying to be negative about the love in the family or between the close friends. We're not saying that's wrong or negative. Actually, it's very important to have warmth and support and close friendship. It's really when it becomes unhealthy. That's why we've got to be careful. If it becomes unhealthy, then we should just look carefully and change the way we are, something like that. It's
when
like
the anger comes up,
oh
I
yeah,
think that's a very good point
yes,
to check
yeah,
what is your motivation,
yeah,
and to see if you're confused a little bit about the difference between attachment and not.
That's good.
That's what I feel.
because the anger comes when the person doesn't behave the way you want them to, because you want them to be your servant. That's not good. Okay.
It's very interesting when you raise children,
Yeah.
because we are like, I feel like we are the first generation of Dharma
Yeah.
students, okay? I mean,
Uh-huh.
people like her that are
In this culture.
much more experienced and others that are
Yeah.
younger. But it's not like we have something to rely on that we can say, oh, our parents or friends of our parents. And
No.
when I look at the children,
Yeah.
and especially in this environment, as you said, it's a lot of TV, a lot of not only TV, all the medias,
Yeah.
and how you start to shift them very gently, because you know that if you just throw it in their face, they might not, you know, and I think that's a very big issue, because as a parent, you want, maybe that's your first Bodhisattva job that you've been given. Okay, first be a good Bodhisattva parent, I think, and then you look at it and you see them, you know, sometimes drowning in that stream, this bubbling thing, and sometimes you look at them. Some of them are more tend to do that. Some of them are just being dragged into that, and it's, I feel it's very challenging what to do and how to help them.
I agree. It's one of the most difficult practices.
Very.
But it is, as you said, it's the first responsibility almost. And how can we help all sentient beings if we can't help the one right in front of us? You know, that's where we start. And so we do our best. And also don't feel too bad if you make some mistakes, because it's normal.
Yeah.
So you have to be
But
kind
don't
to
have
yourself.
something to rely on, because it's not like some things I can look at my parents or other people around, and I heard some wise, you know, things, and here it's like
You can always ask your guru,
if you
if you have one.
I do ask, but still.
The fact is that many of the gurus don't have children. So although they can give you general advice, it's not always direct experience of these details about family life.
As a simple person, I just
As a
once, when my children started to watch the reality shows, and I saw they were really dragged into it, I took the television out of my house. I have the camera for the television for watching movies, but not reality, because they were really dragged in. They were completely inside of it. And then also with the phone, with the cellular phone, I didn't allow them until the age of 18 to have the smartphones.
I'm
Only
with you,
simple
but listen, go a little bit one level lower. I mean, not lower, beneath, because deeper, because you know you can do that, but then you know they live in a society. I think our role as parents is to try, not that not that I succeed that much, but the role is to to try to teach them how to deal with this, with this environment.
I'm still trying.
No, I'm bringing up question because
It takes time.
if you see your children and you try to help them to have better rebirth, okay, I think about it many times, and sometimes I see what they're doing, like, oh no, yes.
You know, actually,
You know, it's like you're pulling your hair.
I think you need to have very simple hopes for your children, not too much. For example, in my case, I decided I want them to be happy. I want them to be a good person to others. That means ethical, really. And then I want them to have enough money so they don't depend on me. So these three I made, and then everything else, like, you know, good job or this or that, I let go. But those three are important to me. So I think as a parent, it's good to decide what is my bottom line? What do I really want? And then how are you going to teach that? By example.
Yes.
You can't force them. But if you live that way, maybe they will see. I'll give you one example. Children always bring up a question and they want a black or white answer because their mind is working like that. And just by example, you can teach them there is no black or white answer. You have to look from many angles in order to discover the reality of anything. Just by that example, by stopping them, say, oh, you're saying that? Well, how about this? How about this? How about this? Slowly, they can learn some wisdom. And this can become a habit.
Okay.
Also, kindness. Don't kill. It's very simple. Kill. Kill. You know, you may have a child who kills insects. Just say, well, how would you like it if that was you? It's very, these little examples. But they have to see that you're living like that. Yeah? And otherwise they just think you're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
They're very tough. Okay. So anyway, coming back to the point, the lesson of meditating on death is how to live our life. That's the point. Not only to prepare for our death, but also because of death, certain things in our life change the significance or the importance. And that is the beginning of Dharma, actually. So sometimes they say that Dharma, or the spiritual path, begins when you think about death. When you realize, I'm going to die, and what does that mean for my life? That's the beginning of spiritual path. And not just Buddhism, but all spiritual paths, they're somehow connecting to that question about death. Not only the meaning of death for before death, but also what will happen beyond. It's a big question. We all have that question.
In Judaism they say you better go to the house for death than to marriage. In the point of view of going to see the people are dying.
I see. To learn something.
Not to celebrate all the time, but in the meantime.
Oh yeah, to learn something.
People are dying.
Right, yeah,
Or
yeah.
you can die also.
Sure.
עדיף ללכת לבית המתים מאשר לשמחה.
חשבתי לנישואים, אמרת מרד.
כאילו, איך אני אגיד לו בשמחה?
Yeah, the Tibet. Well,
יפה, יפה מאוד. It's a compliment for Noam.
Okay.
Because it translated marriage with Mary, with happiness.
Ah.
No, not happiness, being married all the time.
Mary, I have marriage.
Mary.
I said married.
Okay.
I tried to use skillful means, but I lost it.
No, I don't hear very well, I think. I should examine my hearing.
Okay. So I think we're coming towards the end.
Decide what you want to do.
I don't know, what do you think?
Time.
I think that coming back to facing death, our own death, it isn't easy. to get to the point where we really accept our own death. Not easy. It is frightening. It's the unknown. And mostly we like our life. So we are attached to it. I mean, it's easy to, all this thing we're talking, it's easy to talk about, but to actually really feel in yourself accepting death. Supposing that you're driving home now, and you have an accident, and you realize, I am dying. Can you just go peacefully? Supposing you just have 5 minutes. This is the sort of thing to just come to terms with, to learn to accept this can happen. This can happen, and if it happens, it's okay. That would be the best, wouldn't it? If it happens, it's okay, because I did what I could in my life. And if that's the karma, okay, I will go. The Lord of Death is calling, okay, I'm on my way. Something like that. Otherwise, there's this struggle or the fear, all this mental
Rejection.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
I'm really struggling about this because I know that about people that are dying from cancer or things like that what keeps them alive or what makes them remain in life is they're struggling, they're willing to live.
No.
Right? What you're saying is that maybe you should let go at some level, and that brings the other point when you want to go, and then basically they don't fight, and if they don't fight, then they leave earlier. So
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a very good point. As long as there's a chance to stay alive and do something positive with your life, of course you should fight to live.
how would we know?
Well,
Do something good.
I think maybe there comes a point. I stayed with a couple of Dharma friends during the period leading up to their death. I visited them, I talked to them, I somehow related to them. And in both cases, there was a period in which they fought to stay alive. And during that time, they didn't think too much about actually dying. They thought more about their kids, or their arrangements, or what I have to do, or the medication, all that. But then at a certain point, something happened inside, and it was as if an inner voice said, the time is coming. Now you have to accept. And I think hopefully that will happen for us. We will, at a certain point, we will know, and then we will do what I said, which is accept. Because there was one guy that I knew, it was terrible. He was dying of cancer, no doubt. And the night that he died, from the hospital, he called his wife, please come, please come. And she came, and he held his arms around her neck, and he was crying. He was saying, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And then he died. And she was left with all that. And also for him, it's not a good way to die. So he needed to let go, but he couldn't. He loved life too much, actually. And in a way, you don't blame him. He lived a very positive life, actually, this guy. But at some point, you have to shift.
Deep compassion toward him.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
unthinkable suffering.
Yeah, terrible. Terrible, because he's not facing the reality. It's actually happening.
That's why I was surprised a little bit to hear the monk talking about the guy that died like a screaming pig.
Yeah.
It was kind of very harsh to say that,
Yeah,
in a way, because
The description.
it was kind of judging in a way.
Yes.
A man who really suffered from stabbing a knife, okay? And who knows, even if a Buddhist would face such a situation, wouldn't cry or scream. And he's saying already that he doesn't, of course I understand.
He didn't look down on him. I think he had compassion for him.
That's
Oh no, I don't agree.
only saying
That
that.
was the image you came to.
Not that I have something against pigs. You know.
I thought it was compassion. I actually really felt
an
him.
alarm for him also to wake up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a plan. I have a plan B for this one because
Mhm.
sometimes climb trees and I think I might fall down and die.
Yeah.
And then I say Omani Padme Hum. If I die, I say Omani Padme Hum. Omani Padme Hum, Omani Padme Hum. This is a way to do.
But it can be instinctive if you practice like that.
Yeah. Then I say Omani Padme Hum and then.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't think that he was saying that criticising the person, just saying, can we learn from that?
Yeah.
And actually, he'd witnessed the pigs, he'd witnessed that suffering, and he witnessed this
It
suffering.
was very moving. I almost cried.
I think it was.
I think he had compassion for the pigs also.
Yeah.
I really don't think he was despising
They
them.
have compassion for the pigs also.
Interestingly, I found that bit quite helpful, maybe because it seemed so possible, so, and I could imagine myself, going that quickly and not being prepared and
Yeah.
terrified, it
Mm.
seemed.
We all want to die very peacefully, but we
Yes.
don't know how it's going to happen.
So
That's true.
I think practicing almost a
Yeah.
little bit about, I would be ready to say or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quite helpful, actually.
Yeah. Mm.
I say that I have a phrase which I invented through the years that the death is the most creative things on earth.
Uh-huh.
It comes in so many ways. It can
Uh-huh. I see, yes.
And you
Yeah,
have to be creative in doing Omani Padme Hum at least.
And yet you have to be realistic about that. That helps too.
yeah. Okay, so I think it's coming to the end of our session. And in 2 weeks we meet for the final session of this module. And it will be meditations. We will go through the various meditations. And then, if those who wish, we can do assessments at the end. Okay. And then after that, we have another module on karma. Yeah.